Now, when you were growing up, how many of you, your mother said to you, when you did something wrong, wait till your father gets home? Okay? That is something that is used in every family, in every culture, and it's called the mere messenger strategy. Okay? If I tell you I'm a god, if I stand up here and I tell you I'm a god, hopefully somebody will go get a phone, call 911, and I will be helped to the local psychiatric unit. But when I tell you I'm just a humble disciple of God, just his messenger, okay, you're going to be vulnerable to giving me some credibility, particularly, and if I do some other things. It's a brilliant and cunning strategy. It's been discovered by every used car salesman, every mafia capo, okay? But it is also crucial to religions. If you think about it, who's the Pope? He's just God's vicar on earth, okay? And who is the mere messenger who is still alive, who has pretty much dominated much of the recent years of our history? Okay. I want to move towards the social aspect of religion. That's obviously crucial to it. What are some of the cognitive mechanisms that get engaged socially, in a broader sense? We all have coalition. I mean, we know who our friends and enemies are. I could ask any of you, you could write a list, right now. You keep that in your heads. We have what's called naive sociology or groupishness. Basically what this means is that I could take this room right now, randomly divide it, completely randomly, put you on opposite side of the room, give each group the same task to do. Within less than an hour, this group here would think that they're better than this group would think that they're better than this group. Okay? It's a well-described social phenomenon. And we also have trouble understanding that groups are groups of individuals. Think about it. The French are rude. That kind of thing. It's very hard for us. We're very vulnerable to make us-them distinctions and to see our us as better than them. You can see how that would help in the dangerous environments, small groups that we evolved in. The other unfortunate thing is that them, that out-group, we unfortunately use the same cognitive mechanisms that we use for prey animals. Okay? The idea that dehumanization is a crazy or regressive phenomenon is wrong. All of us have the vulnerability to see the out-group with the same mechanism that we use for prey animals. Think of Martin Luther. The Jews are worms. The late unlamented al-Zarqawi in Iraq, the terrorist, who talked about the Shia as monkeys. Okay? So, how do we think about religion? Okay, I think this is a very useful summary. Religions are the communicated acceptance of another individual's supernatural claim, the willingness to accept the influence non-skeptically, and for this acceptance to lead to cooperative behavior, unquestioned cooperative behavior, to create social groups. And again, to facilitate, as you see, attachments, transference, many of the mechanisms that I've outlined. What are some of the social uses of religion? To acquire resources. And have you been to the Vatican Museum? Okay. The amount of wealth that many religions control. To attract mates. If you go out to Salt Lake City and go to Brigham Young's house, you'll notice that it's got a huge building off the back that looks like a dorm. It was, for his 19 wives. To thwart competition. Okay, the reality is that no religion has survived by tolerating its competitors. One of the functions of religion is to create a larger umbrella, a larger group, again, for the benefit of the leaders. I think this says it quite explicitly. I'll let you read it. Everyone knows who Cardinal Ratzinger is, I assume. It's the current Pope Benedict. Very explicit statement. There's only one true faith. Religions have to undermine kin loyalties. This is one of their most useful functions socially is they undermine our kin loyalties. You know, me against my brother, me and my brother against my cousin, me and my brother and my cousin against everybody else. We have powerful kin loyalties which have to be overridden. And we tend to think of, you know, Christianity as, you know, family values. No. I think this says it quite explicitly. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Okay? All of you, I assume, know who said this. Jesus. Very explicit statement. And you can see why religions would have to do that. Okay? When you see the interviews of the families of the 9/11 hijackers, none of those families knew what their sons were up to, and were devastated when they learned. And the main use of religion historically has been to facilitate terrorism and war. And just step back and think of your world history. Okay? And one of the things that plagues us today, Wahhabism, you know, a form of Islam that was absolutely imposed by the sword. And how does it do this? It empowers disenfranchised young men. When you see news clips of the demonstrations in the West Bank, you never see a woman. Rarely. It's all, you know, unemployed, generally unemployed, disenfranchised young men. Religions are very useful at turning off mechanisms of compassion, and they can minimize the fear of death by promises of the afterlife. And we focus a lot on the Islamic terrorists getting the promise of 72 virgins. What's overlooked is that if you're a martyr, if you're a jihad martyr, you get to bring 70 relatives straight to paradise. If any of you are interested, there are two movies. The movie Syriana, the subplot about the recruitment of the suicide terrorists, absolutely accurate about how that's done. Also, a movie made in Palestine, Paradise Now, about two would-be young men suicide bombers. Again, there are excellent portrayals of the use of religion to recruit suicide bombers in otherwise good young men. We know in all of the religions, you know, there is a clear, you know, dictate that apostates are to be killed. You know, so the idea of religious tolerance is a you know, I think, a convenient fiction that we put over ourselves. Well, I started with one of the founding fathers. I'll end with one. And these gentlemen obviously didn't have the advantage that we now have and are starting to have about understanding why human minds generate religious beliefs, why the particular religious beliefs, why we're all vulnerable to them, and why religious beliefs can be so dangerous. And even though they didn't know the mechanisms, this is James Madison. He said in one of his writings that religions lead to persecution and bigotry. And he was very explicit, very, very explicit, that religion should have no cognizance in civil government. Okay? And he did not have our good fortune about knowing the basis of religion. You all are here at a law school. Many of you may be familiar with the Dover case and the issue of teaching evolution in the schools. I think probably within the next decade, we're going to have new cases that have to do with teaching the psychology of religious belief in high school psychology textbooks or college books. Because this, as I think and I hope I've shown you, this knowledge is now there. It's being translated from some of the arcane academic language. It is increasingly available to all of us. It's not long before it's going to be in, or should be, in high school psychology textbooks. So with that, I'll finish. And again, thank you for having me here today.